Hey, what's up guys? It's Casey Boy here, and in today's video I want to show you how to use Resttemplate to make a GET and POST API request in Spring Boot. But why do I need to make an API request from my server? Imagine a scenario that a client sends a request to your server, but the data is in another place, so you have to make a request from your server to that place to get back the data, and you might want to do something with it before send it back to the client. So I think that is one of the most common uses of this. For the demo purpose, I'm gonna create a Spring Boot application from Spring Initializer, and for now I only need Spring Web as my dependency. Now to download the project, you just hit the generate button right here, and then you can open it with your favorite IDE. Now in the IntelliJ IDE with the project I just created, I'm gonna create a new class called Fetch API, for example, or any name you want, it doesn't matter, and I want it to be a Spring Boot test. I'm gonna store the address of the API, string URL equals, I'm going to copy paste the my favorite URL right here, which is doc.ceo, which basically return a random dog picture. Pretty fun, huh? And now I'm going to create a get request method, void get request. Right. Oops. All right. Now in here, let's first create the headers of the request, which coming from HTTP headers. HTTP headers equals new HTTP headers, right? And then you can set any parameters to the headers if you want. For the demo purpose, I'm gonna pass in the authorization. And you will have some bearer token right here, bearer xxx, right? Next, we will need the HTTP entity. I'm gonna call it entity equals new HTTP entity, and the first parameter will be the body of the request, but in this case this is the get request, so we will have nobody we have empty string, and then headers of the request. Alright, and next we will have the REST template, which coming from REST template equal new REST template. And now we can fetch the API by calling the exchange method of the REST template, REST template.exchange, and the first parameter will be the URL of the API address, URL, and then the method of the request, which is HTTP method.get, and the entity we just created above, entity, and the last one, but because we don't care about the response, so I just passed in the object class, right? And you can store it to a variable called response if you want. Oops, rest equal, right? So now just print out the response. Now we need to call the get request method, and in order to do so, we need to add test annotation in here. All right. So now we can test it. Run get request. Just wait a little bit. And you can see here we successfully call the API. We got the 200 status, we got the message, which is the image of the dog, and status equals success. Now let's try it with post request, and to save some time, I'm going to just copy the get request right here. Oops. And rename it to post request. I also need to set the content type of the headers to be application JSON headers dot set content. Oops, type to be media dot application JSON. Right. I also need to pass in the body of the request and JSON object. So I'm going to create a person class right here for the demo, string name and integer age, and I'm gonna generate some code constructor, I think. Alright, so now let's create the person object. Person equals new person. Casey is gonna be the name and age of 10. Alright, now let's convert the person object into a string. JSON equal new object mapper. Alright, dot write value as string, and I'm gonna pass in the person. Alright, now let's surround it with try catch. Alright, and I'm gonna pass in the JSON right here, which doesn't exist, so I'm gonna define it here. Alright, so okay, I almost forgot to replace this with post, and the URL is no longer this because we're gonna make a post request. So I'm gonna paste in the demo post request of postman right here. Now we can test it. Just hit the test button. No, this one, post request. Alright, so let's wait. And here we go, we successfully post the request to this API. We got back 200 status, and the data we passed in the body. And that is it, my friends. I'll see you next time.